Oh, wait, it's okay. As we start our program, don't forget to mute yourselves and turn off your video. We are recording, so if you don't want to be seen on camera, turn your video off. But more importantly, please mute yourselves. That doesn't mean you can't ask questions. You can unmute and ask, or you can utilize chat, which we've been doing a lot of today. So John, would you prefer that they wait for questions till the end or ask as we go along?
They can ask when we go along. I could answer them or I couldn't answer them. And
There you go.
The other thing too that Ken will teach you about next month. You forgot your committee report for programs.
Oh my gosh, I completely left myself out.
Yeah, throw it in there.
So as an addendum to the last meeting, I don't even have it pulled up. So next month is all things Zoom. I will be teaching that. And since I don't have it in front of me, I can't remember, what is that? July? What are we in? We're in July, August. There is something for September. I'll have to look it up. But in October, our very own Bob has his presentation that he's doing. And that's about all I can remember. There's only so much I can keep up here. Thank you, John, for the reminder.
Yeah, because I was going to say that you'll teach them next month, and we're going to need to try to get a huge crowd out for the people that haven't been here. At least, I'm sure that Ken's going to make a note, send out something, or I'll send out something that either Ken or myself will do one-on-one to get somebody connected so they can come to next month's meeting and learn more about Zoom. And so when you do your when a presentation is being shown and you don't like to see the thumbnails, you have two options. One, you can click the little minus sign at the top of that strip and it'll shrink down to a small bar and you can move it around. But to me, every time I move it, it always ends up in way of a slide in the future. Otherwise, you can go up to the top where you have your little buttons that it'll say for me that I'm sharing with you. And you can click that more, and there's an option just to hide those. And so I usually hide those while the presentation's going on because I'm going to focus on the presentation and not that strip of people that you can only see like 4 of them, so you can't see everybody. And then as soon as you come out of sharing, you go back to your full screen. And so I'm going to turn off mine because you don't need to see me. You've seen me before, and that always helps with people's bandwidth and all. And then I'll be back live when we're done. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. I found out that you've got to do all of your little controls before you start sharing because that one doesn't pop back up. So goodbye for now.
Everett, I'm having a little trouble hearing John. Is everyone else hearing a low volume, or is it just me?
Well, he's a little bit lower than everybody else, but I can still hear him okay.
As long as you can hear him, okay.
How about that now? I turned it up because you got to go to fight with Zoom about that. If you let them do it automatic, it sometimes doesn't work, so you got to keep it cranking up. And all right, so
John, are you still in your basement?
Oh yeah, with my little fancy Chinese background. Okay. I'm not going to video clip, so here we go. And I'm get rid of all you guys. More. Hide the panel. Today we're talking about securing your communications. And it's not just going to be telephone or email. It's going to be any kind of communication, which includes files and your calendar, events, things like that. This is coming to the EcoTuck group today. It's coming to the Columbus group Wednesday. And next Wednesday, it's going to be a part of the Wednesday workshop. We're going to do a session on Email 101. That's going to be a good one for people to learn maybe some things you didn't. And I'm going to do this same presentation or parts of it. You know who I am. You will notice that I have a new email address to get a hold of me for computer club stuff. And of course, it's a part brought to you by APCUG because I am part of the Speakers Bureau. And so one of the benefits of membership to APCUG is we have access to tons of people who are speakers besides Bob and myself, who happen to also be, members. Well, that says it all. Good program. I'm tired. I'm tired of when I'm on the internet getting emails that talk about things that aren't what I want to talk about, but because somebody has seen what I've been looking for on the internet, they start flooding me with junk. I'm kind of tired of email services that are reading my mail. And you might say, oh, are they really reading your email? Well, if you notice how Google is correcting your grammar and stuff, you have to realize they're reading your mail and knowing what's going on. So, I want this internet to respect and protect me in my privacy. And I wasn't getting that with things like Google Mail, Outlook Mail, Yahoo Mail, my Roadrunner Mail, who knows? Then I discovered Proton Mail and Proton VPN, and also Proton Calendar, and now Proton Drive. So today I'm going to share with you the benefits and why a number of us, huge numbers across the country and the world, are making use of Proton Mail and the Proton VPN. The Proton Mail was initially the first part, and then they added the others. The company is called Proton Technologies, and their vision was to protect the liberties of us online. Also, we have a very easy to use. This email client is very easy to use. The big feature is it's built end-to-end encryption, and that means that the minute I hit the send, it gets encrypted and stays encrypted until the receiver at the other end hits the open button, and then it's unencrypted. And Proton Mail uses state-of-the-art security features in a number of different ways that I will mention. End-to-end encryption, okay? Messages are encrypted at all times. And even the Proton people cannot read your messages because they're immediately encrypted. Now, granted, that's only between Proton people, of course. We'll talk about what you do when you're sending it to somebody who is not a Proton member yet. They talk about zero access to the data. They talk about open source. All of the Proton products are open source, which means that everybody has access to what's in the code, and they know that there's nothing being harvested. There's nothing that's being captured because there's nothing written in the code to do that. The biggest thing is that Proton Mail is based in Switzerland, and Switzerland has one of the toughest and strictest policies of not giving out information. And so even if a government entity of some sort asked, they won't give it to them because Sweden is very big on individuals' rights and privacy. And even if they did, they wouldn't get anything because it's all encrypted. It's an anonymous email program. I've been using it for so long, I forgot that when you go, because I just created a new one to use for this workshop, that when you set up your email, they don't even ask you who you are. All they say is create a user at protonmail.com, and you create a password. So There is nothing about my name and address and where I'm from. Now, you have the option that if you want to have a back door for lost passwords or something, you can give them an email address or a phone number that they can use to text you for that code that you have to have in order to try to recover, because they have no idea what your password is. So if you've lost your password, then you have to be able to prove who you are so they can give you a code to make a new one. If you don't let them give you an email address or a phone number, then you've lost that account forever and you have to start with a brand new one and you have lost all your mail. And like I said, this is very easy to use email program to get there. What else was there? The Swiss servers are even underground. They're so protected. The ones in Sweden, their main one is underground. And in Finland or Iceland, their main computer banks are all inside of a secured former military base. So there's a lot of security that features that they have out there. So here are the different products that they have that are all available to you. The Proton Mail and the Proton Contacts, obviously they go together. Some people consider that a separate one, but you know, why have contacts if you don't have mail? Proton VPN, the Proton Calendar, and they are still rolling out. It's available in a beta form, their Proton Drive. However, I do have to make this little disclosure that at the current moment, Proton Drive is not available to the free accounts. So let's talk about the different levels of Proton Mail, because that comes into a factor. The free, and I mean free, John, free, Proton Mail, you get 150 messages a day. And I could live with that. I don't know that I have any days that I have to deal with 150 messages a day, either coming in or going out. And you get 500 megs of storage. So that's plenty of room to store any important messages. I know a lot of people, they save messages they don't need to be saving. Messages from years ago that they've never looked at for years. But that's what you get for free. Now, the next level is their plus level, and it costs $5 a month. And then if you pay, all at lump sum, it gets cheaper. If $48 for a year, $79 for 2 years. So it's about a 20% cut each time. But with the $5 a month, you get 5 gigs of storage. So you have a lot more than a half a gig. You can send up to 1,000 messages a day. If I'm doing that, I got to get another life because that's too much. You can also have labels, extra folders to separate your mail, and filters for filtering out your mail. And you can send encrypted messages to external recipients, people who are not. I haven't figured this out part, but you can use your own domain. There's a way that you can have your domain connect with Proton. You can use up to 5 email aliases, and you already saw that I have one, freejohn@protonmail.com, so that's one of them, and you can have multiple ones. The original, I've been a part of this so long that I had an email address that was for Sweden, which I think is .ch in the beginning. Then they switched to .com, but Ken and I also now have a shortened version that is just pm.me, so private mail me, and you get better customer support of that. To me, this is the most people would ever need. You can go up to their Visionary, which is $30 a month, and then each for a yearly or a bi-yearly, it averages out to, you know, less than that. I think for the bi-yearly, it's like $20 a month, and you get up to 20 gigs. You can have 50 email aliases, and you can see why that's something. I don't know of any individuals that really would go that crazy. You also can have 10 different domains. This one will allow multiple user support, whereas the free and the plus, it's just one user. But here you can have multiple users, no sending limits. And the big thing is the Visionary includes the Proton VPN Visionary account along with it. So you're paying for two under one bundle. Plus you'd have to add that on. Now, personally, I am using the plus because the free would probably work out, but being on for so many years, I've been supporting them. I like what they're doing. And so Free John says, I support groups and individuals with software and services if it's really good. And I think for $5 a month, the kind of email security and privacy that I get is well worth it. So looking at the two, the free and the plus, because I don't think that most anybody here would be considering the Visionary, you can see the comparison. You still have one user, you get a lot more storage, the extra addresses, so that it works for me. So if I tell people about my Free John at Proton Mail, when that comes in, I know it's coming from somebody from a workshop or a presentation, or maybe classes, if we would ever have classes. So it makes it easier to filter those out and keep those together, so I know that it's somebody who needs a problem. The plus, you can have that one custom email address. I don't know, I don't need any more than that. Now, this is one I'm not quite sure that there's an error on here, because it says message per day. One said 1,000, one said unlimited. I have to research to find out which one's right. But even if it's 1,000 a day, that's more limit than I need. And you can see that in the free account, you can have, you know, create 3 folders, but in the plus, you can have more. You can still encrypt your contacts. And the only big difference is that in the free version, you can't create mailing lists. So, you know, you kind of decide free or security. When you do the Proton calendar that comes with it, if you are a free group, you can have one calendar. But in My Plus, I can create 20 different calendars to keep track of things. And I do not have 20, but I have, you know, calendars for our family activities, my wife's activities, computer stuff, our meetings and presentations, and family, like, you know, including my family and friends. So I've got at least 7, you know, in mine going. And you know, so that's the big difference. One calendar is enough for most people. The only problem is with the free one, you can't share the calendar with a link, but that's because you just want to have it for yourself. But if you have a plus, then you can share that link, and other people in your family can have connection to it. And then again, the Proton Drive is not available to the free person for free. And, you know, there's a web access, and you can upload, download folders and share files by link. And so that one is not quite finished. It's working pretty good, but it's not available for free. So all 3 of these things, the Proton Mail, the VPN, the calendar, are all part of your free category with limitations. With the plus, you get the extra added Proton Drive to store stuff securely. So a few of the special features that you can find. Biggest thing is, I'll get some people who say, well, I've been doing, and I got lots of Gmail. I got lots of Yahoo Mail. or something else. They have it so that you can import all your messages. So you can go into your Gmail, change a setting, and then all your messages will end up automatically just right over into Proton Mail. Same thing with your contacts. You can export your contacts in addresses, and you can import them into Proton Mail, and so you're up and running. When you log in, you have the option of just standard password, or go into 2-level. And you can either have the 2-factor authentication, where they have to send a thing to another email or to your phone for a code to put in, or I do it with a required second password. So I have one password that lets me get into my Proton Mail, but then I have to put another password in to decrypt my own messages. So, I can't even see them if I don't want to. And then when we talk about sending emails, when you send to a Proton person, it's totally encrypted all the way. But Proton Mail will allow you to encrypt a message to a non-Proton Mail user by way of going through the Proton server, where, and I'll show you in our little demo here, they have to have a password in order to unlock the word or the message. The other big thing is that it's really interesting. Proton Mail allows you to put an expiration. And just like in Mission Impossible, at a certain time, that email that you had created and sent will be gone forever. So here is what we look at in terms of the email. And to show you, this is a very simple email program. It's just like every email program that you've had. I've created one for my wife for this demonstration. And you can see on the left that it's just there, you tells you who it's from. You tell me who it's going to, give a subject. You got your text block. You got all your minor tools for making it fancy, or you can just say, change it to plain text. But you'll notice that the difference, I have 2 accounts. There's my Proton account, and there's my Microsoft Outlook account. And you'll notice that in front of Proton, it's got a lock on it. So that means it is will be a secure encrypted message automatically going out if she sends it to me. On the other side, if she sends it to my Outlook, it is not going to be protected and encrypted. We'll go back. I had to see which one this was. Back up. There we go. Too many backups. If you look at the very bottom, you can see that just like with all mails, I have an attachment button, and I can attach inline, or I can attach an attachment the regular way. Next to it is a hourglass, and this is the button that says I want to set a detonation time for getting rid of that mail, and then there is a button for lock it. So when you click those buttons, on the left-hand side, you'll see this is the password I'm going to put on that message I'm sending out. And then I have to confirm it, typical thing. And if I want to give a hint, I can. And then when I hit the button set, that message will be sent with password protection and secure. And then on the other side, if I want to set up an expiration time for a non-user, I can set it up for any matter of days and hours. So I could even set it up for 1 hour. You have 1 hour to read this, and so don't skip over my messages. So here we go. She has now taken my Outlook message because we clicked on the lock, and we're going to go and lock it up, do the regular message. All right, so now we jump to my Outlook email, and you'll see that, hey, I got a message from Betty Joe, but it says you've received a secure message. You have received a secure message. Link expires on. Now there's a default that 30 days, I think, is the default expiration when you do this. If you want to do it less, you go back and do that setup. Now, if I open up that message, this is what I get. Well, that's not my message. That's just a notice that I have a message. And it says this message is password protected. To access it, you follow the link. The link will take me or her to, or no, it takes me, it will take the receiver to a Proton mail server, the one in Sweden, and then I'll have to use a password. And so here I end up going to their website to access the Proton mail server, and I have to put in the password that I somehow got her. You know, so that's a trick. You have to somehow, if you want to really be secure, get the password to your person in a secure manner. And then they come here, they type in the password, and boom, now they read the message. Can't be more secure than that to a person who is not a member of the Proton family. And as you can see, it has an expiration date. If this was a live one, and I can show you that if it's anybody's interesting, it will have a timer going. That timer actually is working and counting down the time until that goes out. I think that's, yeah. The other thing is that you know, it's the security part that makes it, you know, makes the difference. You know, it's not the Proton mail, it's mail's mail. As you can see in that box, and I'll, you know, I show you, it's just the same old list of messages you got in, and a text message box to make that you type up regular. It's the idea that between Proton people, it's automatically encrypted, and then I can send it encrypted to anybody I want to or not. And that's the part. And again, no one is going to be able with Proton Mail to read your mail because it left my computer encrypted. So it doesn't have to go to them to do it. I'm already encrypting it when I hit send, and it doesn't get unencrypted until the person receives it or opens it. And then the same thing, you saw how great it was that if I wanted to send it to somebody who's not a Proton member, I can put it under lock and key. And if they don't have the password, I always do that to somebody when I'm demonstrating. I send them a message and they can't open it. And then I send them, okay, here's the password. Now they open it and they see on that. So I think we'll take a short pause right here to see if there's, you know, questions on Proton Mail, whether you want to see anything live about it, or we move on to Proton VPN. So Ken, I'll let you take over and see if there's any questions or what.
Yeah, so please remember to unmute yourselves. If you didn't, I muted you. Any questions? There's no questions in chat, John, right now.
Okay, good. I try to make it so that everybody understands clearly.
Yeah, I got just something popped in my head here about this. You know how the crooks are using email to, you know, get people to fall for their scheme.
Mm-hmm.
And they are, even though it's very difficult to trace those emails back to the crook, it is still possible. With this, it looks to me like it'd be literally impossible if a crook decides to use this to, you know, send out their crap.
Right, but I think that in the terms what the Proton can evidently have an idea of what's going on, not what's in the message maybe. but I know too. There's a limit. You have to be able to send it just to a few people. That you can't mass produce this one. Proton is not set up for bulk email sending out. So it'd have to be on a small individual basis. And those guys, they just make up hundreds and hundreds of email addresses and send them out.
Okay, so
Yeah.
like if we, like our club, if we do bulk mail, like for these invitations and stuff, so we couldn't even do that here.
Not with Proton Mail. No, it's for privacy and everything like that.
Oh,
And of
okay.
course, Ken's going to back me up on anything that I can't answer or I'm not answering correctly, because we've been using it together for 4 or 5 years now. But I do know that it does say in this one slide that talks you about how many emails you can send out, you would have to do 1,000 individual ones because they do not allow the bulk mailing going out, mass mailing and bulk mailing. So I can get away with sending it out to our Linux group. That number has not caused a problem. I don't know what their number is, whether or not a small group of 100 could go out or whether it would be more. But I think that you're right, trying to track it back down would be hard if they were able to get one. But I have a feeling that if Ken or I received a message of that kind, we would immediately be contacting Proton and saying, I got this, and they would then be able to slam down on somebody real fast. Kill the
Okay,
whole contact.
that answers. Thank you.
Anybody else? Ken, is there anything I forgot about Proton Mail part? He gave me a thumbs down. All right, then I'll move on because I also wanted to add the extra part of the VPN to go with it because it's a package deal. Even for the free person, you get the VPN. So, okay, hopefully you see my right screen. Now, benefits with the Proton VPN, which comes along with it. You just install the VPN like you did with the mail, but with the mail, you're going to the website. It's not a client, so that there's nothing installed on your computer. You go there to do it. You can use your Thunderbird, or if you have an email client on your computer, there is a bridge that you can use that would let you send from Thunderbird to Proton to go out. I just choose why go to that extra trouble. I'll just use the web version and do it that way. So Proton VPN, there is absolutely no data or speed limits. Some of the places that you go with a VPN will slow things down or limit how much you can use. There is none with them. No advertisements at all with Proton VPN. They get enough from the sales. They do not log your activity. They do not know when you get on and where you're trying to connect to. And again, it's protected by the Swiss privacy laws, even though with a VPN, you can connect all over the country, which is better because you want to connect the shortest distance so that the farther you go, the longer it might take to get back and forth. So you want to be able to do it, but because the base is in Switzerland, the protection is there. They do have 3 secure core servers. One's in Switzerland, one's in Sweden, and one's in Iceland. And those can be used that if you go through one of those 3, there is no way anybody can get back to you. Because what happens is when you use one of their secure core, you go to that one first, and then you come back to whatever country you want to come out from. So there's a slide on that, but if I wanted to go from United States, I would first go to Iceland, let's say, and then I'd come back to the United States, so that if I had any kind of problems with, you know, banking and Netflix or whoever about, you know, meeting here, I'm actually coming out. But if something happened to that server somewhere in the United States, they could not get back to me because they can't get past that secure core. The Proton VPN also includes ad blockers. I can turn on ad blockers so that I don't see a bunch of ads, and they also will filter for malware stuff. It's a pretty good thick service that they have through there. And again, everything they do is using with strong encryption. And in terms of physical security, as I mentioned, the two in Sweden and in Switzerland, the original one, their servers are those both are underground. And the one that's in Iceland for their secure core, though that one is inside of a former military base, so it's strong that way. Everything is encrypted again, you know, as you go through your lines. It's just there's so much encryption, no logs. They also allow you to VPN with the Tor browser, which is the Onion something or other. And that helps because it bounces you around so that it's hard for anybody to trace where you came from because of how many times it bounces around different servers. Proton also has what they call a kill switch and an always on, which means that if you turn on the kill switch, if your internet connection to your server breaks, it immediately shuts down your internet to protect you from any kind of attack in. And you can always choose that you're always on a VPN, never off of it. If we talk about the levels of the Proton, they have 4 levels in the VPN. The free one, you have access to 23 servers in 3 countries. And so you've got a good selection that you can pick from. You're allowed to connect 1 device at a time. It's, you know, relative good speed. Again, no strict logs and nothing it blocks, they don't block anything. So this is where that if you were in a different country where you couldn't, let's say, access Netflix or something, so you could jump to where you can, and then you could be able to watch it. And so they aren't going to be doing any kind of blocking, just let you through. If you jump to the Proton basic level, they've changed the names on it. This would be kind of equivalent to the plus version in terms of price. For the $5 a month, you now have access to 350 plus different servers in 40 different countries. And you can connect 2 different devices at the same time, which if you wanted to be always on, that means you could have your computer on and your laptop. I didn't mention earlier that Proton Mail and all of this stuff is also accessible by your computer, your laptop, I think it's your tablet, I haven't done on there, and your phone. I've got both Proton Mail and Proton VPN on my phone. So if you had the basic one, then you could get 2 connections at a time. And again, you get high speed transmission, no logging again, no blocking, and you get access to BitTorrent support, person to person. So if you're doing a lot of file sharing and stuff, that makes it even better. Still have, you know, ad block on that. They go to another level called the plus level. And on the plus level, you can have up to 1,200 servers and 55 and up to 10 connections. And you get the highest speeds of what they have. No log possible, you know, strict core, bit to bit again, an ad blocker, streaming surface support for movies and stuff. And with the plus, you get the secure core VPN and using the Tor over the VPN. They do also have a visionary one which is the one that's $30 a month or $20 a month if you pay bi-yearly. And all that does is add the Proton mail at the visionary level. So the most you would pay for the maximum thing on, with the Proton would be the $30 a month or $20 a month, and you have everything. Now, I'm not their level. I'm at their plus level for those services. And I do need to also include that not only did you get discounts for paying longer times, if you bundle, everybody gets bundled, just like insurance. If you bundle, you get a discount for the two services. So my Proton Plus that would be like $15 because I'm using plus mail plus VPN. Looks like it'd be $15, but then you take off 20% each time you go extended year, and then you get a discount for bundling it. So, I'm not paying as much as you'd think I was paying. So when you start up your VPN, this is what we see on a Linux machine. The Windows machine only adds a nice cute map that shows where you are and where you're connecting. I don't need that. And it tells me right now that I'm not connected, and I can hit that button and they would quickly connect me to the most fastest secure server for me. You can see the buttons below. There's the button for secure core. There's the button for adding the adware protection. And that's the one for turning on the kill switch if I needed it. You can also see that I have access to 55 country locations. If I wanted to find a country, I just go down through this whole list. And I can also see there's a clue that tells me that France and Germany and Hong Kong have peer-to-peer, have the Tor connection I could use. And so I go down through this list and see, where do I want to make somebody think I'm from? Because if I picked Greece, I would jump to Greece, and then from Greece, I would go out to whatever websites I'm going to, and anybody who's monitoring would think I was coming from Greece. They wouldn't know I was coming from good old Nurkahaya. Once I get to a country, then I get my choices of servers. And you can see right here that if I was a basic service, I would have these four. And because I'm a plus, I have those four plus four better ones. And you can see they're all servers that are in Reykjavik. And when I highlight those, you can see that these are all good connections when I did the screenshot because they're in green. They go from green to yellow to red. The more people that are connected, the color changes. And so then I just pick which server in whichever country I want. Now, if I choose to turn on the secure core, and I'm in the United States, this means that I can pick, I'm going to go to first to Switzerland, Iceland, or Sweden, and then I'll come back to some server in the United States. And that is sometimes necessary because some websites won't let you access if you're outside the country. But I don't necessarily want them to know that I'm not really in the country, so I can go through Switzerland or Iceland. Iceland's closer, and then come back through in the United States, and they think, oh, okay, this is all happy. We're just in the United States. Some of those features that the basic will have access to the P2P, person-to-person, BitTorrent, which makes things better file sharing if I was wanting to share files back and forth. And you can see at the plus level, I can have streaming, smart routing, lets them do it the easiest, and using the Tor network if I wanted to. All right, so we'll switch back to here again. And that gives you an idea of the Proton mail, and VPN. The calendar, again, is password protected. The calendar is encrypted so that nobody knows what you're doing, when you're doing it, and where you're doing it. That part's a little bit more restrictive. I'm able to use my calendar that's in my Thunderbird that kind of connects to Google can go to my phone. But to use the calendar, I've got to use the calendar event. Now, I could send a link to Ken if I had a calendar just for our Linux SIG, and then he could have that and would add to his. If I made, he made, we would get it. And then the Google, excuse me, the Drive program is the same thing of any drive, only it's more secure than any of the others because it's all encrypted and there's password to get to it. And in fact, my drive, they don't even know who I am. They just know, if they know, my login. So open for questions and comments, and I can demo anything that you'd kind of like to see. Everett?
Yeah. So you have to install this application on your computer to get into the VPN. Appears to me, is that correct? Okay.
Yeah.
Also, I've been playing around with a peer-to-peer VPN. It's called Soft Ether, and it's strictly peer-to-peer. There's no servers involved whatsoever. It's kind of cool. I haven't actually used it yet. Well, I've used it just for testing purposes, but it's kind of the same thing. Not nearly as extensive as this one. You can go all over the place with this one. Obviously, mine is just peer-to-peer, machine to machine. You can't. If there's a way, I think you can get on the network through a machine, but normally you can't do that.
Yeah. Now, in your comment, I have to go back and say, of course, with Linux, we have two versions. We have command line version that we can use, and now we have a GUI version. And so I did the GUI one because more Windows people and are familiar with that than going through the command line. I had that before, and it was basically the same thing that, but it's a little bit easier because you can go in and type a line command and connect directly to whatever server you want. You don't have to go through all the menu clicks to get to it because you can just save it that way.
Did you see my chat question?
I just now?
I know it's terribly basic, but
have you ever used like a Google Calendar?
not really. I don't use any calendar, and everybody's yelling at me.
Yeah.
So I must get on that.
Well, to answer your question, because since you don't know how quick it is to change a Google Calendar or a Microsoft Outlook calendar, because Microsoft has their calendar too, then I can't tell you it's as quick to change. It's a matter of you go to your calendar, click on it, you get your menu or your box that says when, where, hours, and you make changes.
When you say you go to it, do I open some Proton program and sort through there looking for my calendar? Where do I start if I want to look at my Proton calendar? I told you these were little basic questions.
No, that's what I said. The thing said if you need to want a live demo. Okay, here's Proton. Account.proton.com login. And I just, you memorize that. And of course, you know that I and Kenneth are proponents of Bitwarden. So I go to Bitwarden and it says, hey, you've got some stored Proton connections. So here's the one that I just made for this demo, which happens to be Betty's name. And so I just get logged in. Now, she is not set up for the double connection because I just did it for this. It's not enough that needing the second level, which I would on my own. So it goes right in. Chug, 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 chug. And so now I'm into my mail program. If I want to go to my calendar, we all know about the tic-tac-toe board, or the tic-tac-toe or Hollywood Squares. So I go there and there's calendar. And so I can look at it by the day, by the week, or by the month. And so let's see, I'm going to go to next month, and 3rd Sunday. I want to do a new event. So August 17th, we start our meetings at 2:30 and go to about 4:30. I can set it up for being a repeating calendar, which I would in this case. And then I can put a title. And I'll go ahead and do a repeat. And it repeats every month, but it's not always on the 15th. So you have to go to a custom and say it always repeats on the every month on the 3rd Sunday. It never ends. We're going to keep our club going along. All right, so I've got that part saved in. Now you also did see, if I edit that, I can add people to it. Tell it where my location is, and then it'll also show me a map. So save it. All the events. All right, so there it is. And if I go to the month view, I like to see month view. It shows it right there. And it color coordinated. Now, she has the free one, so it's only going to be one calendar. Mine are all different colors, so I can easily filter through on the ones I want. So if I had to make a change on it, like, oops, this is Father's Weekend, it's not the 3rd, I can just go in there and I say I want to edit it, and it's going to be the next week. And it's going to say, do you want me to update everything? Well, no, only this one's the one that's wrong. And so I just update that one. And then if we go to next month, there it is. Oh, that's still August. Oh, it went. I told it not to do that. It shouldn't have done that. Okay. On the month, oh, there we go. See, it's got switched over to that. So I did something wrong on that, but it's that easy to do. Where'd you go, July? Oh, I know, I was in the wrong month. I was in August for next month. So now if I go to September, 1, 2, 3 shows up on the 3rd. So it's that easy to do it on that. Now, if I want to go to my Proton Drive, this will, if I click hers, it'll go to say it's a paid part. But if I go to the VPN, it's not, I haven't downloaded it on, yeah, it's supposed to be downloaded on my laptop. But then I would download it, and then I would get through the same exact screens you saw on my slideshow to show you you're not connected, go to your country that you want and connect. And then up in the top, I would have an icon that I could quickly disconnect if I needed to. But that's how easy it is to that. And if I go back to, the mail, and again, it's just like a regular mail. There's all your folders that come with it. Here's a message. You can see that these are all important ones. I got them starred. But if I go to a new message, you can see right there, there's my 3 buttons. And if you know your keyboard shortcuts, you can do a lot faster. And then I can secure this message with a password. I can do this. It's set for, I think, a month, but I can make it set lower.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
Ken put a note in chat that the calendar is available as an app on iOS and Android as well.
Yes. I have the calendar, the VPN and mail all on my phone. I think I have. I might even have the Drive. The Drive is the newest one, and they may not have the Drive app quite yet. But yeah, I have all three things on my phone, and I use them all the time. Quick access, and the VPN's great because if you, I'm not the VPN. If you, I have Bitwarden on there, so I go to my website, and then I can use the VPN to protect me when I'm going out. And since I have multiple, I can keep the VPN live on my computer and live on my phone at the same time. Free people, you have to go back and forth. If you're not at home, put it on your phone. If you're back at home, put it on your computer. Thanks, Ken. As I said, it starts free. And if the free doesn't give you, I'll just say he's not here, but Ira has the free account, and that's enough for him. And the only reason I have the plus is because I'm supporting the Proton technologies for what they are doing. I could probably back down to the basic VPN or the free VPN, but I'm supporting them because I want security. I want privacy.
Any other questions? Remember, you're muted. Well, most of you are muted.
And my answer would be, you should be giving it a try. There's no excuse. Since you can import your contacts, import your mail, you can easily get switched over. And the fact that they don't want to know who you are, that's amazing. That you don't have to sign up. There's no credit card that you have to give it until you go to the purchased one. But then guess what? I pay by PayPal. So I'm still, even they don't even know everything about me because PayPal intercedes for us. Ken Bixler, anything else that I've left out or that you wanted to mention about our love of Proton?
No, I think you hit it pretty good. Just one thing is that we can use it if I need to send an email address to somebody and I don't want to, have the whole world see the email address, or if I want to send a bank account number to my daughter or somebody like that. If I send it through Proton, it's completely encrypted, and so anything that you're sending that you don't want ever to be seen by someone else, you can use the encryption of Proton to do it.
Yeah, and we've done things where he will have something that's on his server, his Proton drive, and he sends me a link, and I go to that link, and I've got that. He doesn't even have to send me a file or something. I can just access it securely, privately, and have whatever it is that he wants me to have. So it's up to you how you feel about your privacy and your security. And it's very easy to get started because it's just so simple. The hard part is getting used to the fact that it's so secure. So don't be surprised if one of these days you get a message that says you can't open this, and I'll sit back there and go, aha, I haven't told you the password.
I have a question about your email change. So I just sent you recently an email to the Proton Mail account you've been using? Are you going to get that, or should I
Oh
resend
yeah.
it? Okay.
No, I like I said, I have my at proton.ch, I think is what it started out was, proton.com, pm.me, and then I've got my free John that I use, so that's the one I publicize for workshops and presentations. So all of that, will come to me, and I can still make a couple more, I think. But Ken and I have started using the shorter one because it's a lot easier to type pm.me than protonmail.com. And it also lets everybody know PM, private mail me. Thank you. We'll do this again Wednesday night, Kenneth.
I wanted to put a little piece of trivia out there, but I've been trying to find what it was called. There's a movie, a fairly recent movie. It was this whole trying to hide who they were because they were trying to get money out of this person. And guess what email service they used? Proton Mail. So right up the alley for criminals, right? But I can't remember the movie, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Just
like I
like-
said, I'm sure that if I got something that wasn't up and up from Proton, that I could easily hit a button and it'll go right back to them, and they would investigate and deal with it.
Just like VPNs can be used for bad things.
Yeah.
Quite often we'll have somebody says, well, comes back to Avast's VPN server. Yeah, well, not everybody uses it like they're supposed to use it. It's supposed to be used to protect your privacy. In this case, it's hiding the bad guy, so you can't detect him. Everything works.
So if you have any other questions in the future about it, either, Ken or myself, we're glad to help you get started on it or answer questions. It's just easy to get started. It takes, 2 minutes to set up an account, because all I have to do is come up with a username and your password, and that's all. And you're in.
Only thing I found cumbersome was that I get an email in my Gmail that I have an email in Proton Mail, and then I have to go to that email, and it takes forever to get there. That's my only.
Yeah, just go into the settings to say don't send notifications.
Yeah.
For me, I just get on my computer. I'll get a pop-up on my phone. It'll pop up and say you've got mail, or on the computer. I don't have them send anything, but I did notice that on Betty's, that an email went to her backup account and said, "Hey, you got a Proton message."
The reason I have it turned on is because there are so few messages that I ever get in Proton Mail that if it didn't have something on there, I don't go check every single day.
Why not switch all those Gmails over there and get out of Gmail where they're reading what you're doing?
Takes too long for me to do all of that.
Import, export, help. All right, Ken, back to you for the ending.
Well, are there any additional questions?
I have a
Okay.
comment. As your fashion editor, some of you guys are looking really good this afternoon with your nice shirts. And if you'll take a special note, Ken Bexler went the extra step and wore his club-oriented t-shirt for you today. I'm just having some fun with you guys.
I would have worn mine, except grandson was overnight last night, and he picked out my shirt today.
And yours is one of the ones I'm talking about. You look
stripy
good,
ones.
John. You look
Yeah.
good.
I would have worn mine for today, but he picks out my shirts and picks out Betty's earrings, and they don't always go with what she's wearing.
Anything else?
Thanks, guys. Thanks for the presentation, John.
Yeah, you were the guinea pig, so I'll sit back and think if there's anything I should do different for Columbus Wednesday night, and then I have a week to tweak it if I need to for uh, the Wednesday workshop, because that one's got to stick to about an hour. So I'll go back and look at that. If anybody has some suggestions, they let me know. Ken, especially for your group, if you think there's need to do something different.
I have to think about it. Knowing about the apps handy. I think kind of like Bob, unfortunately, I have a lot of email accounts, so I kind of forget about Proton Mail. I get the notification. I guess this is a question. It's turning into a question. For all my other email accounts, I use a mail app on my computer and on my phone. And I'm wondering, and I think the answer is no, I'm wondering if there's a way to integrate Proton Mail into that, because right now I know it's a separate app.
There's supposed to be a method to connect Gmail accounts into the Proton account and use Proton as your main mail handler. Now, I haven't used it myself. I just keep both apps going all the time. I have a workspace on my desktop computer that Thunderbird's in one half and Proton's in the other half, and so it's just not a problem there. And then on the cell phones and tablets, both apps are just running, and I get a little ding when something comes in, and I check that mail. So I don't spend a lot of time logging in, logging out. I just leave them sit there and run.
Do you run it from a web browser, or is there a client on Windows? I don't use Windows, but Mac, Linux, Windows, is there an actual standalone client for Proton Mail? I know there is on the phone and tablets.
Go ahead, John.
I would say, it seems to be, because when I go to my, my Proton, you can't quite see it this way. Now it's not going to reflect right, but it opens up, and I'm not really going to the web. So I think it's kind of like an app, since it's my phone. So most everything, there's some kind of a phone app. And so there's a thing for Kenneth Toubaugh in here. And so I just have it, and then I can, type messages. I don't like using it because I like a keyboard to type, but I can do everything on the app for the mission. And then right next to it, I have the app for Gmail. And what I do is Gmail is currently the ones that are businesses and whatever. Anything that's important, medical, banking, personal friends, they all come through, Proton Mail. But they sit, like Ken says, side by side. And on my laptop, I have Thunderbird set to go to Gmail. So I keep Thunderbird open and Proton Mail open.
Okay.
The easy way to do it is to open up two browsers, one that's just going to be your Proton, and then like Ken says, put Thunderbird next to it, and then I have another browser that I can use to surf the net and all that sort of stuff. So I'm because you can do two browsers.
Everett, just one thing. Everett
Yeah.
has a question in a second. So my workflow at work, I have to use a web browser for email, and I find it lacking, I guess, so I was hoping there's some sort of like standalone app. I guess I'm old school. I really like that one app that I can stick off to the side. Chrome, you keep opening up tabs and tabs. Well, I don't use Chrome anymore, but Firefox, you keep opening tabs and tabs, and you get buried. It's tab hell, right? So I lose my email unless I have one window here, one window there, one window there. That's kind of the dilemma I have.
Why aren't you using virtual desktops?
Because I'm on a Windows computer at work.
Windows computers have virtual
Do
desktop.
they? Wait,
Yes.
hold on. I didn't know about this. Please enlighten me because my life is not fun at
Oh,
work.
yeah, right down at the bottom. It looks like a little piece of film strip.
Oh, that's what that is. I've never clicked it. I was too scared.
Oh, yeah, you
Okay, I learned
click
something
that,
new.
and then it's just, you know, your control window left and right to go between those.
John,
As
you're supposed to tell me that Windows can't do it. That was the answer.
it's because Linux can that Windows now can do it.
Mac can do it as well. I
Yeah.
use them all the time. I just
The
didn't
only
even
trick is that with my Linux, I have to go Control Alt up and down. With Windows, you do Control Window back and forth. And if you do it the wrong way, you turn your screen this way.
And in Windows 11, you have even more choices. The Windows key and the Z key gives you lots of ways to set up those windows. You can have up to 5 different windows open.
Okay, now I'm unmuted.
Okay.
I
I
think
have,
I wonder if you guys are talking about an email client that allows you to go to the email server without using a browser. You know, it's a direct connection to the server. It sets itself up for all the parameters that email server requires for you to get into your email. And I think what Kent, is that what I'm talking about? Yeah. So now I think John showed something. It's an application that you put on your computer that is the email client for
Thunderbird.
Proton Mail. Is that correct?
Well, it would be Thunderbird is the one that can be configured to bring all your mail into one spot. And that would be the modern day equivalent to the old Outlook Express.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah,
why
so
use Outlook Express yet? Because I'm still using XP. But
yeah,
so so your Thunderbird is basically the same thing. So
exactly. Yeah.
theoretically, then I could use Outlook Express and set it up properly for Proton Mail if it's capable of doing that. Am
Yeah,
I
I'd
right?
have to look. I'm guessing it wouldn't because you're not supposed to be using that. But
I'm laughing because we're talking about using Windows XP to run Proton for security purposes. Talk about oxymorons. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
No. I don't think so. If you're using Thunderbird, now maybe it's got the tools in it to do the security stuff, which I wouldn't have any problem with that because I can use Thunderbird.
Not if you're running XP.
Well, whatever. That's not the point. The point is you're using an email client to access the Proton Mail server, and that's basically what I'm talking about here.
I have
yeah.
information for Kenneth DeBaugh.
Go ahead. I can't unmute quick enough. Go for it. Sorry.
Proton Mail was featured in the movie named Knives Out. The killer used Proton Mail to email a threatening letter to someone. If you look at the top of the phone, they are using the address bar that says Proton Mail.
That's it. Knives Out. And Mr. Robot used it as well.
Right.
Thank you, Mary Frances.
Yeah, but Ken, I'd go, check into Thunderbird, and then for Proton Mail, you just go in and download the bridge so that it connects. I just felt, to me, it was just a second step. It was just easier to go to the website and do my Proton Mail. But if you do have a number of them, yeah, Thunderbird would be the one because you can connect however many accounts you want to Thunderbird and have it all come in there.
That answered my question.
Yeah, I used to have it with Roadrunner Mail, which I don't use anymore, and Gmail, and then I tried it with the Proton Mail, and I said, it's just not as slick as going to Proton Mail and doing the work. So I use Thunderbird for what few emails I get through Roadrunner, which is usually Time Warner sending me to my Adelphia address all these years later. And then just, keep my browser for Proton going. But I like Ken's idea of doing a split screen. I may do that instead of having Thunderbird on one screen and Proton Mail on the other. Put them on both, or 2/3 for Proton and 1/3 for Thunderbird.
That allows me to keep the browser for Proton Mail. That browser also is running through Tor.
Oh,
And so
okay.
anything I want to do super secret, I'd go through that browser.
Oh, okay. So that's a Tor browser that you're using, not necessarily the Tor through VPN.
It's double.
So we're getting into more little bit of questions on security too. Anything else so that you can let Everett stop so that he doesn't have a huge long conversion process
late.
to go through?
Too late.
It's only 1.6 gigabytes so far.
Okay. Yeah. On mine, when we do our Wednesday workshops with APCG, it's usually 2.5 hours long. And and if I don't break in, up in between each VTC, it's over 3 hours long. So I try to break those up.
Okay, so are we finished? Or are you going to give us our exiting a comment there, Kenneth?
Yes, it's 4:30. Turn off the recording. There's your exiting comment.